Hi, fans! Today is pretty special for this episode because I am exploring going back on Zoom again. And I think the fun part about this is that, in the background, you get to see my cats here and there. So today I received an Instagram message. So even though I haven't really been using my social media to post anything about my coaching business, I have people reaching out to me, which is really nice. And she told me that she saw one of my YouTube videos. PS, I haven't done a YouTube video for a long time. So, in my previous episode, I was talking about how I used to run a YouTube channel where it's called Coffee Talk with Hosies, where I just Coffee Talk with Hosey, one Hosey, where I would share about really relationship stuff. So I was like, oh, people actually still watch it, which is pretty interesting. So I decided that, why not just try hopping back on YouTube again. But this time around, I think the difference between now and then is that in the past, I'll make a lot of effort to kind of edit, put some graphics and things like that, which is a lot of effort. But I think as I've taken a step back from social media and begin to rethink about who I am, how I want to show up, what is me, right? Is really, I am not good with all this visual stuff. I don't really care about it. I just want to show up as I am and share whatever I want to share without the constraints of needing to make it perfect, without the constraints of needing to capture people's attention with the graphics, even though I understand that there is a space for that. But I want to attract the kind of people that values my way of thinking. Yeah, so I'm just gonna try this out. Just post this video on Zoom. I mean, I'm using Zoom right now. Post this on YouTube. It's really raw. Um, Honestly, I don't know why anybody want to watch on YouTube. But anyway, why not? Since I'm already recording, just do a video and let's see where it goes. So today, that's my cat, so cute. So today I want to talk about. So I just ended a coaching session today with a client who is in the midst of getting to know somebody. They're dating, and I thought this would be an interesting topic to really share with you guys, especially if you are in the phase of getting to know somebody and in the pre-dating stage, dating stage, whatever. I think that the pre-dating and the dating stage is a very important stage, especially when it comes to, I feel like it sets the foundation for the relationship. So if you can do this pre-dating slash dating season well, it will benefit you when you enter into a relationship because you've already set a very good foundation. So how do you do that, right? It is, to me, always through conversations, the kind of things that you talk about, the topics that you talk about. Um, how deep to the end do you dare to go to explore in terms of your conversation? I remember even before I got into a relationship with my partner, I actually told him very honestly how much I was earning. For some people, finance can be something that's very touchy, but personally, I feel like the more touchy it is, the more you want to talk about it and discuss it at the beginning. But when I think about what stops people from going to the deep end, is really the fear of conflict, right? And what is the fear of conflict about? The fear that eventually you will not work out with this person. But if you really think about it, right? If talking about these things can cause conflict, which eventually leads to you guys not being together, wouldn't it be better for you to kind of know and sieve this out from the very beginning before you invest too much time, effort, and energy and heart into this relationship? Because if there's misalignment in terms of your values or your goals or your dreams, I think it's definitely better to know all this upfront so that you can make an informed decision whether I can accept this or I can't, whether this is the person I can work with or I can't, than to lock yourself in too deep and you can't, and you feel like you cannot walk away because you've already invested so much. I understand that this approach might not be for everybody, but this has worked for me. And I'm sharing my thoughts for you to also consider. At the end of the day, as I've matured and grown in life, I realized that there is no one rule that fits everybody. What works for one person might not work for you. However, it is important to be open-minded to hear the different ways out there. So then you can come to a conclusion yourself whether this is for you or not. So have the difficult conversations from the very beginning. Because if you marry somebody, it's gonna be a long journey, long journey. And you're gonna experience many things, right? The ups, the downs, the good, the bad. And you need to be able to know that you can have the difficult conversation with this person and know that you both can actually handle your differences. You can work through something, you can work as a team and figure things out together. So dating is not for you just to, yeah, sure, romance, the butterflies in the stomach, but it is beyond that. If you're, of course, looking for something long term, if you're only there to have fun, something short term, it's a very different ball game altogether. So I was just coaching this guy, right? And I was telling him that you need to over communicate in the relationship, discuss things, right? If there's anything that has got to do with you and her, always talk about it before jumping into conclusion or making assumptions, right? It's very important to set the culture, and it's very important to actually have guiding principles in the relationship, because guiding principles will help you to make decisions. For example, a guiding principle for my relationship is this: if it's good for me, it's not good for you, then it's not good for us. If it's good for you, it's not good for me, then it's not good for us. Or more like, if it works for me, it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for us. If it works for you, it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for us. If it works for you, it works for me, it works for us. So this is the guiding principle. So for example, like let's say we're currently in the stage of trying to find a church to go together. And so if he likes this church and I don't like this church, then it doesn't work for us. So we will not choose this church. If it works for me, he doesn't like it, then we won't choose this, right? It is a us decision together. Yeah. So really this is a guiding principle that help us to make decisions together as a couple, right? So let's say he wants to go to Japan, but let's say I hate Japan, right? Then it doesn't work for us. There is of course room for compromise, but I'm just giving an example in terms of this guiding principle. So that would be one of the guiding principle that we have that I could think right now off the tip of my fingers, top of my mind. And I think this guiding principle is honestly very, very helpful, right? As we tackle just different issues together. Yeah. I think having guiding principles are important because it makes decision making very clear. Yeah. Yeah. So I shared with him about, setting the culture of the relationship. Like, what kind of culture do you want to have in your relationship? Discuss this with your potential partner. So when I talk about culture, it could be like, oh, I want a culture of kindness, right? A culture of respect, where we don't shout at each other in public, where we talk about things respectfully rather than try to impose things on each other. Yeah. Okay. Another principle just came to mind. So the first guiding principle will be, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me. Yeah. If it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for me, right? The whole work for me thing, right? I've already explained it earlier. The second guiding principle would be a win-win relationship. Actually, that kind of also comes under, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me. Yeah. So in all our decision making, we also want to strive towards making sure that it's a win-win. It's not a win-lose, right? So for example, I love KFC. He likes McDonald's. Like maybe for dinner, he to eat McDonald's, I want to eat KFC. A win-win situation could be, hey, you get to eat your McDonald's, I get to eat my KFC. We both dabao, we go some win-win, right? A win-lose situation could be every time my partners say something or want to do something, I just follow him, even though I don't want to do it. Then that's a lose for me. There's a win-lose. And that is not the kind of culture we want to build in a relationship. So win-win. What would win-win look like in a relationship? That's very important. That's the second guiding principle. And the third thing that I shared with him, right, very importantly, is to discuss, right, what are some baggages or what are some of my issues or slash shortfalls that I'm bringing into this relationship that can potentially cause a downfall. And that is very important. This is where self-awareness is very important and come into play. So as I was getting to know my partner at the beginning, I think within the first or second date, having known that I'm a highly sensitive person, knowing that I'm somebody who is very sensitive to the tone of voice, to body language. Like for example, if I am sharing something very vulnerable with my partner, and then he's here, like, the whole body language is leaned back, and he has his like arms folded, or like he's not giving me attention, and his eyes is just looking everywhere, I would get very hurt. Yeah. So tone of voice, body language. So these are things that I'm aware about myself. And because knowing that I'm this kind of person, I need somebody who is sensitive to my emotions, sensitive to my need for cues, body language, to show that he's supportive, that he's listening. I need somebody who has empathy, who is emotionally able to hold space for me. So I was very upfront with him. I said, hey, this is what I need, and I'm not sure if you can provide it for me. And I'm scared that, this needs that I have will be too much for you. And I just really left it on the table and communicated that with him. And that allows him to know me and allows him to make an informed decision of whether, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm not high in empathy, maybe I'm not very emotionally in tune, but hey, for you, I'm willing to learn, right? Then we can both work together to see what a win-win relationship is for the both of us. Yeah, so have conversations like that. Like, what is it about me? What about me that I'm bringing into this relationship will cause it to kind of potentially break, right? So for some people, it could be like insecurities. Maybe it could be their tendency for jealousy. Maybe it could be a rage problem. So discuss it, right? And that's part A of it. Part B of it is to discuss how can your partner support you in it. For example, if this person comes into a relationship with a lot of insecurities, and you tell that to your partner, and your partner's like, hey, I love you and I want to work through this with you, then you can discuss how I can support you is maybe what this person, the person who is insecure, need is for you to communicate with her or him, right? That, oh, I'm right here. I'm going to go for lunch with this colleague, or and these are things we talked about. Maybe to support this partner who struggles with insecurity, you can over communicate. Yeah, just share, and that will help build her confidence or his confidence and become more secure. So these are the things that I think would be quite powerful to talk about, especially in the beginner relationship. Or even right now, if you're already in a relationship, it is still important for you to discuss all these things and set a strong foundation for a really solid and thriving relationship. One last thought that I'll leave behind with you is this. You want to know ASAP, as early as possible, how aligned you are, so that you can avoid a lot of unnecessary conflict that comes from misalignment in the future. Yeah, it's actually really quite a no-brainer, but many people don't do it. I think maybe because they don't have the skill to have the kind of conversation, they've never been taught how to do it. And our tendency to just kind of avoid conflict, which at the end of the day is going to lead to a lot of problems. So if you need coaching, you need help in this area, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help. And if you resonate with the things that I'm saying, do drop a comment, drop a like, feel free to drop me a message on my Instagram. I know I'm constantly changing my Instagram handle. It's a mess, but this is how I rock and this is how I roll. As of today, my Instagram handle is at HozziePozie, HozziePozie. I do not know if there's an underscore between Hozzie and Pozie, but try one of them would work. My account is currently private, but I may unprivate in the future. But that's all for today. Thanks, guys.